Imam Zayed, I'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about the spiritual significance of Hajj?
Assalamu alaikum, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala sayyid al-khalq, ashraf al-mursaleen. The significance of Hajj summarizes Islam in the total human sense. In Hajj, Muslims, blacks, whites, Americans, Africans, they're all doing the same rituals. They're all wrapped around in a white piece of cloth that resembles a coffin that we're all going to be wrapped in one day. The only thing that unites them is the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing the rituals that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to do. And they're all asking for the one thing that we should ask for is the acceptance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His forgiveness. In one human movement that is shows the unity of mankind and the unity of Muslims specifically. It is a sign of obedience, it's a sign of adherence to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also the benefits of that spiritual clarity that comes with obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and reaching that level of satisfaction and harmony between oneself and his Creator.
The Qamar suggested that the next 3 days are going to be Eid. Right. So along those lines, I know that the two of you have different perspectives on what day Eid should be. So I wanted to talk about that because a lot of times this question is broached, but there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of skepticism and distrust between people who are doing the discussion. As Imams, I would invite the two of you to present the different perspectives so that we can have all the open information in front of our audience, and so our audience can make some decisions about and be knowledgeable about what the debate is. So Imam Zayed, what is your perspective?
Well, the perspective is a matter of priority. I mean, the other scholars that said that some of them is Eid is Thursday or Eid is Friday, I am celebrating Eid is tomorrow because Saudi Arabia, they're celebrating it tomorrow, and I'll state my reasons. The priority here is unifying Muslims. The sin of bringing the Muslim ummah into factions, celebrating Eids on different days, starting fasting on different days, that is a monumental sin, bigger than any mistake that can be done by moonsighting and whatnot.
So the 3 different days, in your perspective, that Muslims are celebrating 3 different, that is a sin?
That actually it's dividing the nation of Muslims and celebrating Eid, and we have only 2 major feasts throughout the year. Separating like that is a big sin. In the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, الَّذِينَ فَرَّقُوا دِينَهُمْ وَكَانُوا شِيَعًا لَسْتَ مِنْهُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ. Those who separated the religion and made it into factions, you have nothing to do with them. That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the mistake is not that they making a big mistake or doing something haram. For example, one of the groups of people who are celebrating Thursday or Friday, they're saying that the way that Saudi Arabia calculated the beginning of the month or sighting the moon for the start of Zil Hijjah is wrong, and that's why they're doing it later on. They might be correct, and actually maybe if you do use scientific calculation, they are correct and Saudi Arabia is wrong. But they totally ignore 2 cardinal rules of Islam. Number 1, the rule of unity. You have to do things with the jama'ah. When you get away from the jama'ah, that is the major sin. Anything else becomes minor after that. Salat al-Jama'ah, praying in Jama'ah, is 27-fold better than you pray alone.
So the first basis for what you're saying is unity, the importance of unity.
Absolutely. It's the most important thing. It's not just the importance. It's
and what is the second?
The second thing is the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Sumu yawma yasumu nas, wanharu yawma yanharu nas." Fast when people fast, and make zabiha when people make zabiha. Meaning that the ultimate measuring stick is to do it in jama'ah, to do it in a group, to unify the ummah, not to separate it according to the calculations. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not say that I want you to be the best astronomers or the best scientists as far as calculating at the beginning of the month. This is a reference that we can use, but the most important thing is to do it in jama'ah. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, Yadullahi ma'al jama'ah, Yadullahi ala al-jama'ah. The hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with the group. So not that Saudi Arabia is right or wrong as far as sighting the moon, but the unity is to do it where at least in Hajj, not even moon sighting in Ramadan, to do it with the group. And that's what I care for the most, inshallah.
Okay, Imam Zayed, you want to answer that question?
Well, it's not that I say they are wrong. I said they might be wrong.
Or even if they are.
They might be wrong at sighting the moon, but in Islamic law, it's akhaffu dararain. Which one, if there's 2 wrongs, then you have to take the lesser wrong. The bigger wrong is not to unite Muslims. The lesser wrong is to make a mistake in sighting the moon, and we all make mistakes. Unity of Muslims has to come first above and beyond anything. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says about people who distract themselves and takes themselves out of the majority of the jama'ah of Muslims, he says, "Man shuzza anha shuzza ila nar," who's taken away from the Muslim unity is taken away to hellfire.
So who's the majority here? If you look statistics-wise, do more people celebrate right after Hajj, or do more people look for the moon?
The majority of the Muslim world is celebrating Eid tomorrow, inshallah. And that's the reason why. I'm not saying who sighted the moon right or wrong.
Right.
I have no knowledge of that. But what I know is that whatever the majority of Muslims would do, then I have to do that. And there's a lot of problems that happen. Our children go to their public school, some of them, and say, you want to take that day off. And the principal would say, well, I don't know which feast or which
because someone
event,
else asked
because
for
someone
another
else said
day
for
off.
another day.
Yeah.
And I cannot custom tailor days for everyone.
Yeah.
So it is a very big problem, and I ask all Muslim scholars to look for reasons to unite Muslims, then look for reasons to be stubborn and separate Muslims.
So your reasoning here is because most Muslims, population-wise, celebrate it on Wednesday or the day after the Hajj.
Yes.
Everyone should do it because in the interest of unity.
Exactly.
Mufti Qamar is saying that the most populous part of the world is actually celebrating on Friday. And you're saying,
well, as far as most of the countries that I came to knowledge of, like including all the Arabic countries with the exception of Morocco, I think, and a lot of parts of the world are celebrating naturally with Saudi Arabia. I think I understood a comment from Mufti Sahib when he said kathratul khabith. He's right, but the ayah does not apply to what we're talking about. What Saudi Arabia is doing is not khabith or haram. Somebody went on a mountain and said, I sighted the moon, and this is in Islamic law. If he's an honest man, he didn't lie before, he has any problems with him as a character, we should trust what he said, and we started from there. What I want to bring home is they're not doing something haram, and we're avoiding haram by celebrating on another day. They have a different mechanism of sighting the moon. In Islam, if you look at all the hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when the moon is born has no significance in itself. As far as the reward that we're getting, it's just a mechanism to all pray together, fast together, make zabiha together. So the significance, and as I recited the hadith, as-samu yawma yasumun, as Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, fast when people, good, bad, when the majority make fasting, make zabiha, when the majority make fasting. Unity of Muslims is the most important priority.
Mufti Qamar saying wherever your neighborhood, whenever your masjid in your neighborhood is celebrating Eid, go ahead and celebrate it. That's the easy answer.
That might sound nice, but you find two masjids in the same neighborhood, not even the same town, and each one is celebrating different. But I want to interject with the caller. It's not following Saudi Arabia. In Islam, there's no Saudi, there's no Pakistani, there's no South African. We're all Muslims. The Islamic law says that if moon is sighted correctly in one of the Muslim countries, 57 of them, then all Muslim nations should, according to their own local timing, adhere and start fasting and do that. Sumul ru'yatuh, all of you, all the Muslim nation. He wasn't talking to just the people of a certain neighborhood in Medina, to all the Muslims together. But the problem is we have to, as Muslim countries, agree on which method, that if it is fulfilled, then it's a correct sighting and we all follow. And getting a meeting between 57 people is not difficult, for the sake of the unity of Muslims and to get this nation united, because that is the biggest thing. I mean, as I said in the beginning, the method that Mufti is trying to follow is not wrong. And I said maybe the Saudi Arabia decided the moon wrong this year. I don't know. That might be
the majority
but the majority is just uniting because it's a bigger priority than this.
Okay, let's ask the first question, Imam Zayed. The first question from the caller is, do you believe that if the moon is sighted in any Muslim country in the world, then we can pronounce it as Eid?
Yes. According to the next Maghrib or the next Fajr to start fasting for that local time of that country, that should be the case. So they all start on the same day and they all fast on the same day. That is, sumu liru'yati, sumu, all of you for seeing it, and waftiru liru'yati, as the Mufti had just
So
recited.
the rhetorical question that the caller is posing is, well, if it's Fajr in Saudi Arabia right now, can we pray Fajr?
No, but as I said, according to your local timing.
Yeah.
So moon is sighted the next Fajr, whatever the local timing in your country, whether from that moment it's 12 hours later or 7 hours later or immediately later, then you start fasting and doing your.
So caller, I hope that